You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. When you pull up ESPN.com and you see a headline that says, it's a picture of Brian Kelly and, on the LSU practice field, and it says, LSU has attracted significant money. Q&A with Las Vegas oddsmaker. That's going to get my attention every dang time. LSU attracting significant money. We've talked about it a lot, and I always try to prevent myself from going down the homer line. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. There are people that can do it. If you want affirmation, you can find it. I ain't that. I'm going to tell you honestly what I think, if it's good or bad. So, and I will grant you sometimes, in an effort to be split down the middle, like just as impartial as I can, sometimes I probably go too far either way, okay? But we've talked a lot about LSU, and LSU has been one of the more perplexing teams to figure out because you have seen such a wide gap of projections for LSU. You've seen Vegas odds makers project LSU at 6 wins, right when Brian Kelly got the job, the earliest projections. And you, after a lot of the transfers and as the spring went along, you've seen LSU north of 7.5, 8 wins in some sports books. That's just a massive gap to see a 2-game difference in some sports books. Well, David Purdom at ESPN, who's sort of their gambling reporter, spoke to the odds maker, Matt Metcalf, at Circa Sportsbook in Las Vegas. Now, I'll grant you, this is one odds maker. But again, it's at the Circa in Las Vegas. I mean, it's a significant guy. They take a significant handle in action. And I talk about betting here because a lot of people, football people, have opinions, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but Vegas looks at things differently. Vegas isn't looking at anything emotional. It is strictly data-driven and trying to accurately project to win. That's what Vegas does. So I'm always going to put more stock into what odds makers say than what an analyst may say. So Matt Metcalf is doing this interview, and they're talking about a team like USC, right? How a lot of money has come in, how they actually adjusted win totals for SC because they expected a lot of money because of Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams and all that sort of stuff. And initially, they had him at 16-1 to win the national championship. They got so much money, they bumped it back to 25-1. And by the way, said they ran their season wins for USC up to 8.5. They opened it at 9.5 and just waited for the bettors to kind of tell them what they thought. What was really interesting about LSU is he said, LSU is another example of one of those teams this year. And this is what you're not going to like. There's a part that you probably will like, but this is the part you are, as an LSU fan, you're not going to like this, okay? Full disclosure. And this is a quote from the odds maker at Circa Sportsbook. Quote, our raw wins number for LSU is 5.5. But we use 6.5, knowing that the public would most likely want to bet this team over a low number. Meaning, if they had set it at 5.5, they knew that, even though that's what they feel it is, they knew the over would get hammered if they set it at 5.5. He said, in these situations, we're basically looking for a number that recreational players, public bettors, or fans will bet over, and that no professional players will bet under. Basically, they know if we set at 6.5, if the sharps know it's 5.5, they're not going to bet under at 6.5. But they know the public is going to hammer the over. Public's going to see LSU 6.5 and hammer the over. Now, I personally think LSU's floor this year is 7. I find it very hard to see how LSU goes below 7 wins because I think they win their 4 non-conference games, and I do think that they will win at least 3 SEC games. I think that is their floor. Could they go lower? Of course you could. I mean, that's why you tee it up and play the game. But I think that's LSU's floor is at 7. I also think their ceiling is 9. We've talked about that. But the head odds maker at Circa Sportsbook in Vegas is actually telling you the number for LSU this year is 5.5. They're basically telling you LSU's 5-7 or 6-6. But because LSU's a very public brand and is going to get a lot of action, they set it at 6.5. Told you weren't going to like that. And you can roll your eyes, and I know what fans are going to say. Well, what did they have LSU at in 2018? What did they have LSU in 2019? Yes, teams go over. Some teams go under. You have to let a season play out and see, right? And they try to take action on both sides of the number. We understand that. But, again, these are people that are not looking at this with any partiality. All they care about is making money. So that did give me pause when I saw it today. The other thing, though, that was interesting that you may like. He said LSU has been very popular in the national title futures, mostly because you get the chance to bet a high-profile new hire coach in Brian Kelly moving to an historically elite program, but at a much higher price than USC. LSU has attracted money in the 70 to 90 to 1 range. So you're getting incredible odds. Now they sit, by the way, LSU's at Circa is at 55 to 1. So they're seeing, and he said we're still seeing decent action. So the way fans are looking is they're going, it's LSU. They won a national championship a couple of years ago. They're a perennial power. You get this great coach in Brian Kelly. You heard Tony Barnhart on this show at SEC Media Days tell you that this is the most talented team Brian Kelly has ever had. This LSU team, he feels, is more talented than any team he had at Notre Dame, including 2 that made the playoff and 1 that was in the BCS National Championship game back in 2012. Now, they all got waxed, but he's telling you he thinks this team is more talented. So if you look at it and you go, well, what if Brian Kelly does catch lightning in a bottle year 1? It's happened. I mean, we saw Bob Stoops at Oklahoma very quickly turn that thing around from 99 to winning a national championship in 2000. Now, I mean, Larry Coker won a national championship in his first year at Miami, but he inherited what was the greatest team in college football history until LSU 2019. Gus Malzahn at Auburn. Awful team in 2012. I mean, that's why Gene Chizik was fired 2 years after winning a national championship. Gus Malzahn, year 1 at Auburn in 2013, played for a national title, was 13 seconds away from winning it in his first year. So if you're a sports bettor, you're looking at LSU going, they're in the SEC. They play a schedule that's equatable to making a playoff if you do well. You got a coach that's been in this situation before. They're certainly going to be a better coach than they were. You still got Keishon Butte, and you got B.J. Ojolari, and these players that we know and super talented guys. What if they catch lightning in a bottle? It's worth a shot at 70 to 1. I kind of get it. So it's why LSU continues to be one of the most fascinating teams in college football this year because of all of the variables surrounding. Look, there's a lot of teams that are hovering in the, those odds at the 55 to 1 to win the national championship that just aren't very interesting. Like Oklahoma State is just not interesting. Like that's their odds, but you and I know Oklahoma State out of the Big 12 isn't getting there. An SEC school could. What if 6-year senior Miles Brennan just, Matt Flynn in 2007. What if Jaden Daniels realizes all the great potential that he has? And Butte has a Biletnikoff Award caliber season. 5-star running back John Emery finally pops off when he gets his opportunity. That defense under Matt House, which has a bunch of veterans now in the secondary and a super talented front 7. You see what, like, you can piece it together to make the case, which is why a lot of people are gonna take that flyer. But the flip side of it is the sharps are saying 5.5. 5.5. just too many questions. They can't all be answered to the affirmative. Buse and I were talking. He said, "You mean to tell me LSU's only going to go 2-6 in the league?" I was like, I think LSU's going to be favored in. I am certain. I think that LSU will be favored in 2 games, 2 SEC games, and it's the 2 home games against the Mississippi schools. I think LSU will be an underdog in their 4 road games: Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. I think they'll be an underdog in those 4 games. They'll be an underdog at home against Bama, and they could be a home dog to Tennessee. That wouldn't surprise me if they're a home dog to Tennessee. Close, point, 2 point, whatever it may be. It wouldn't stun me if that was the case. So you're a team that's going to play a lot of coin flip games this year. It's why they're fascinating. It's why everybody's looking at LSU going, I don't know what to make of this team. I don't know. Like usually, in a given year, when Les was coaching this team, every year we just went 8-4, 9-3, 8-4, 9. I mean, it was a given. Like you weren't going to be below 8. You'd probably end up at 9. You win a nice bowl game, you get to 10. Really good year like 2010, you win 10. You get the bowl, you win it, you get to 11. And then every 4 years or so, you're competing for a natty. And they were just standard there. This team, it feels like, just has a much wider, range of possibilities for this LSU team. Where again, what Vegas thinks the floor, I don't think the floor is as low as they do. But then again, I'm not them. They're just a team that everybody is going to watch because of all the variables. And certainly Brian Kelly getting $100 million and leaving Notre Dame the way he did makes them more intriguing just for the storyline's sake as well, not even relating to what happens on the field. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.